I, 33-year-old male, and my wife, 30-year-old female, live in a high cost of living state and are saving up for a starter home by getting some more money for a down payment before moving to a lower cost of living state in another part of the country. Our plan seems pretty solid. She has family where we're moving, which seems great. My wife and I have been in a relationship for over 10 years, 5 of which were long distance, and 6 in person. We got married this year, just pulled ourselves out of a post-COVID pit, and are doing much better for ourselves. Our relationship is absolutely rock solid. My mother's running into some issues. She's a single woman in her 60s and used to be part of the medical workforce before making some decisions I don't entirely agree with. She liquidated her 401k to get a 3rd degree to go into veterinary technician work before quitting a few months later. Since then, she has been doing caretaker work, taking care of her late father until he passed away. She has now found a bedroom to stay with someone else to save money. With our recent plans to save for a home, which we're close to, but I want to save a bit more to avoid PMI on a new house, she's been insistent on buying a house together with us. Her current landlord friend is trying to sell her house soon, and my mom will have to find somewhere else to go. That said, my mom refuses to re-enter the workforce, even though she has 3 professional degrees, including multiple master's degrees, and could easily out-earn me and my wife's combined income. I'm hesitant to let her buy with us because she's often disagreeable, even though she's nice. She often inserts herself too much in matters that don't require her involvement. And as of right now, she doesn't want to do much, if anything, to keep herself from being homeless. I would help, but right now, she's able-bodied, minus needing a minor surgery. But she stubbornly refuses to do anything difficult for money. Right now, she dog-sits for a very small amount of money for other people. My wife is flat out against the idea. She wants the opportunity to buy a house for me and her, and live a life we both want as a goal. I'm frustrated that my mother won't do more to take care of herself and expects me to be a savior. I'm getting daily messages about her wanting to move in with us, and I don't think this is a good idea. Earlier this year, we almost decided to rent together by moving to a different city, but she constantly shot down every house listing we tried to apply for because she wasn't given full freedom of the space. Since we're splitting the rent based on contribution, of which I'd be paying the majority, am I wrong for being of the opinion that she should return, even if briefly, to the medical field until my wife and I decide to move to a lower cost of living area either this year or next year? Should I be better off buying sooner than later? My wife and I make a combined $110,000 to $120,000 and have about $30,000 in savings toward a down payment as first-time homebuyers. Again, open to advice. I'm worried I'm being guilted into the position of saving someone who won't do much to help themselves, and that might put my new marriage at risk. Update. You all provided excellent responses. I'm very thankful for the honesty. I took some time and had a heart-to-heart discussion with my mother. She must have known because she was very quick to use a lot of emotional leverage, but I held firm. She cried and hung up and took it quite poorly. I know this was the right response. It just hurts. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Why is this even a question? Your wife said no. She does not want to buy a house or live with your mother, and you don't want to do it either. You're twisting yourself in knots to avoid being the bad guy to your mom. You have to accept that she is going to be mad. You've got to stop waffling. Anything that sounds like a maybe is a negotiation. Tell her no, never. Not if you get a job, not if you have no other options, not if you're homeless. Your mom is not going to figure out her life if she thinks she can take you for a ride. Tell her no. Comment 2. I responded to your other post, but I will do it here. Do not, repeat, do not, buy a house with your mother. Do not let her move in with you. Make it crystal clear to her now that she is not going to move in with you. Shut that down immediately. It's a kindness to her as well. So she knows she cannot plan on this and needs to make her own plans for her life and her future. If you don't, you are going to end up living with your mother and without your wife, permanently. Trust me. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for an update. So, after that tough talk with my mom, things went from bad to worse. She showed up at our place unannounced, with bags packed, saying her friend kicked her out earlier than expected. My wife was furious, and I was stuck between them. I let her stay, thinking it would be temporary, but that was a mistake. A few days in, and it's like she's trying to take over. She's rearranging furniture, criticizing my wife's cooking, and making comments about how we live. It's driving a wedge between me and my wife, and I can see it's taking a toll on her. I feel trapped, like I can't kick my own mother out. But I also can't stand seeing my wife so upset. Then, out of nowhere, my mom announces she's found a place. It's a fixer-upper, and she wants me to co-sign the mortgage. She says it's an investment for our future. I'm hesitant, but she's pressing hard, saying it's the least I can do after all she's done for me. My wife is dead against it, warning me it's a bad idea. I hate to admit it, but part of me wants to do it, just to get her out of our hair. I didn't co-sign, but I did something I'm not proud of. I lent her the money for the down payment. My wife doesn't know, and I plan to keep it that way. I tell myself it's a loan, but deep down, I doubt I'll see that money again. Now my mom's moved into her new place, but the peace didn't last long. She's calling me over for repairs, complaining about the costs, and hinting she needs more money. It's like I've bought myself into a second job. My wife's noticed I'm stressed and asked if something's up. I lied, said it's just work. I hate lying to her, but I can't bring myself to tell her the truth. And just when I thought it couldn't get any more complicated, my mom's health took a turn. She needs that minor surgery she's been putting off, and guess who she expects to take care of her? Yep, me. She's guilt-tripping me about family and duty, and I can't seem to say no. So now I'm juggling work, my mom's endless needs, and trying to keep my wife happy, all while hiding the fact that I'm financially supporting my mom. It's a mess, and I'm in too deep. I keep telling myself it's temporary, that once my mom's back on her feet, things will go back to normal. But there's this nagging feeling that I'm just kidding myself, that this is the new normal. My wife and I had plans, dreams, and now they're slipping away. I just hope I can fix this before it's too late. Thanks for reading, I appreciate it. Aita for feeling relieved. When my best friend's perfect marriage crumbled, my best friend and I both got married last year within 3 months of each other. I've been with my husband for 6 years, and she's been with hers for 5 years. I love my husband, I really do. But our first year of marriage has been hard. My husband is not very romantic, and we've struggled to love each other in each other's languages. But these issues have been amplified because my best friend is in a seemingly perfect relationship, and I can't stop comparing my marriage to hers. Her husband's constantly doting and is always doing small things for her, like getting her flowers or writing her surprise cards for her to find in the morning by the coffee he made her. He's always posting pictures of her on Instagram with adorable captions. Yesterday, he posted a video he took of her sleeping with the caption, "Our love is a movie." And I think they really do feel that way. I know people will say, "You never know what's going on behind closed doors." But I do, because she tells me. She tells me how they never fight, literally only once early in their relationship. And they resolved it easily, about every small thing he does or says to her every day, and how happy it makes her. I literally get about 5 texts or phone calls a week where she just gushes about how happy she is and about how perfect their relationship is. I talked to her about the video her husband posted, and she told me it's true. And she often enjoys thinking about how much their relationship looks and feels like a romance film. People may read this and say she's lying, but I'm telling you she isn't. She isn't that kind of person. Recently, my friend and her husband came to stay with us for a week, and I felt so embarrassed about how much our relationship looked so dry compared to theirs. It made me start to wonder if I married the wrong person, which gives me so much anxiety. I've talked to my husband about my fears, although not specifically about wondering if I married the wrong person, and we are trying to work on things. We are seeing a therapist soon. These feelings are harming my friendship and my marriage, which are the 2 most important relationships in my life. I've started to hope something goes wrong in my friend's marriage, just so I don't feel so bad about mine in comparison, which is such an ugly feeling. I don't want to feel this way. Has anyone else dealt with this? How did you find solace? How did you stop comparing and start appreciating what you have? My friend sends me new messages about her perfect relationship, like every other day now, and it's ending the life of me. Edited to add, to be clear, my relationship, I think, is actually pretty normal. And while we have struggles, I don't actually think they're anything beyond what a normal relationship struggles with. My husband is wonderful, and our marriage has so much good about it, and we are great communicators. I think my problem is mostly that I struggle with comparing my relationship to my friends, and this makes me doubt my own relationship. Her grass may be greener, but I just want to stop looking at her grass and appreciate my own. I'm not sure how to do that. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I'm always suspicious of people who post how perfect their relationship is online, because it almost feels like every time they're overcompensating, and they will break up eventually. I don't have any actual stats for that, only anecdotal stories where I've seen it time and time again. I'd agree with others who say maybe steer the conversation away from relationships, and don't overthink this. Her marriage might look perfect, but nobody's is. You don't have to ruin the honeymoon phase, but I'd keep an eye out in case things for her go south. Comment 2. In addition to some great advice here, I'm noticing that the way you frame relationship success in this post is based primarily on how the husband acts. Hers is doting, yours is not. But marriage is between two people. Does your friend do things you don't that contribute to her relationship happiness? Or is hubby doing all the lifting? And obviously you need to consider your role in the health of your own relationship. But I don't want to speculate about your situation, as that's not important. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for the update. So, things took a turn. My best friend's husband, the one who seemed like Mr. Perfect, got caught cheating. Yeah, you heard that right. My friend found texts on his phone from another woman, and it was clear this wasn't just a one-time thing. It was a full-blown affair. My friend was devastated, and honestly, I was in shock. All this time, she'd been living in a bubble, and it just burst. I felt terrible for her, but I can't lie, a part of me felt relieved? I know it's awful, but I couldn't help it. While she was dealing with that mess, my husband did something unexpected. He organized a surprise dinner for our anniversary. Nothing fancy, just us at home. But he cooked and even tried to write me a poem. It was pretty bad, but it was sweet. And it made me realize he was trying in his own way. But then, my friend decided to forgive her husband. She said she believed in second chances, and that their love could overcome this. I wanted to shake her, tell her she was making a mistake, but it wasn't my place. So I supported her decision, even though every fiber of my being screamed it was wrong. In the midst of all this, my husband and I started therapy. It was awkward at first, talking to a stranger about our problems, but it helped. We learned to communicate better and understand each other's love languages. Things were looking up, then another bomb. My friend's husband hadn't ended the affair. She caught him again, this time because he accidentally sent her a message meant for the other woman. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. My friend was a wreck, and I was furious. How could he do this to her again? And why did she have to go through this pain twice? She kicked him out this time, and I spent nights at her place, just being there for her. It was hard, seeing her so broken, but it also made me appreciate my own husband more. He wasn't perfect, but he was honest and he was trying. That meant everything. Now my friend is going through a divorce, and it's ugly. There's a lot of anger and betrayal, and here I am feeling guilty for being grateful that my marriage is still intact. I hate that her misery is what made me see the value of what I have. Thanks for reading. Aita for staying with my girlfriend. Even though she's messaging her ex about our problems, how do I navigate this? I get how it looks, and it sounds like a corny excuse, but it's the truth. I was just looking at someone's shirt. If it was a one-time thing, I would just bite the bullet and say, I'm sorry, but it's not a one-time thing. We have the same fight several times a week where I do something completely innocent, and she wants me to acknowledge and apologize for how it makes her feel. The rest of the story. My girlfriend is incredibly insecure and expects me to constantly reassure her insecurities. She's got some history, including an hurtful ex, and has been cheated on in the past. So I try and be sensitive to her needs, but I can't help but feel backed into a corner by how often the same argument comes up. In the past month, we've had fights about me wanting to stay home and finish some overdue work instead of going out. agreeing to go out, but not sounding enthusiastic enough when I agreed, telling her she looks great instead of saying she looks incredible/amazing/fabulous, not waking her up to have intimacy after she told me not to wake her up, and getting out of bed and going downstairs to watch TV when I couldn't sleep, just to name a few things. The argument is always the same. I do things that I feel are just normal, everyday interactions, but she interprets them as some form of rejection. I have perfectly innocent and valid reasons for my actions. She feels I need to respond to her feelings, acknowledge them, and apologize so that we can just move on. Or, better yet, make a big production about how much I love her before I do anything, so that she feels like she's my top priority, even though life gets in the way sometimes. Maybe I should, but the whole thing feels so exhausting at this point. At best, it feels hurtful that she just thinks I'm careless and mean, I guess. And at worst, it feels controlling and hurtful. I care about her feelings. I try to be mindful of them. But I feel like a lot of this is on her, and it's unreasonable to expect me to manage her feelings for her. Is there a way to acknowledge and address her feelings without having to constantly swallow my pride and take accountability for things I genuinely, deep down, don't feel are wrong to do? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I don't really have any advice, just that I've gone through something similar. My ex used to tell me I was being disrespectful all the time when I had no intention of being disrespectful and thought I was doing nothing out of the ordinary. I was always completely surprised when he'd suddenly be mad at me and tell me I was being disrespectful, to the point that I constantly felt at least a little bit on edge, wondering when I'd mess up next. Obviously not quite the same thing, but your situation definitely feels like it hits the same notes, with her constantly getting mad at you for being inappropriate. I suppose if I'm advising anything, I guess it would be therapy, but if it were me, she'd need to get on it and show improvement quickly, because it sucks to live like that. Comment 2. Save yourself. This lady needs to be alone and heal from her past. There is no way in hell at 40 years old she should be acting like she's 16. At her big age? Really? Put yourself first, dude. You're 40. It's about time to hit that midlife crisis, go buy a Porsche and dump her, hit the gym, the bars, and the beach, and move on. If you love her that much and don't want to split, tell her to get her shoot together before she pushes you away. You said at worst it feels like abuse. This is absolutely a form of emotional abuse. She's making you doubt yourself and messing with your head. Worry about you, dog. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around after my last post. So, things have escalated since then, and not in a good way. Just the other day, I thought we were finally having a good moment. We were laughing over dinner, and I was feeling hopeful, you know? Then, out of nowhere, she asked if I found our waitress attractive. I hesitated because, honestly, the waitress was pretty, but I didn't want to lie. So I just said she seemed nice. Big mistake. My girlfriend blew up, accusing me of wanting to be with someone else. It turned into a huge scene, right there in the restaurant. I was mortified. After we got home, I tried to explain that I only had eyes for her, but she wouldn't have it. She demanded to see my phone to prove I wasn't hiding anything. I handed it over because I had nothing to hide, but she found an old group chat with some friends from before we were even dating, and there were some jokes in there about other women. That set her off even more. She started throwing things around, saying I'd betrayed her trust. The next day she apologized, but the damage was done. I felt like I was walking on eggshells, trying to avoid any potential triggers. But it was like she was looking for reasons to be mad. She even got upset over a photo on my desk from a family reunion because there was a female cousin in the shot. She said it was inappropriate for me to have a picture with another woman in it. I was at my wit's end. I decided to make a grand gesture to show her how much I cared. I planned a surprise weekend getaway, just the two of us. I thought it would help us reconnect, but when I told her, she accused me of trying to control her by making plans without her input. She said I was treating her like a child who needed to be appeased with gifts and trips. I couldn't win. It felt like every move I made just dug me deeper into this hole. I started to question my own sanity. Was I really doing something wrong? I started apologizing for things I wasn't even sure were my fault, just to keep the peace. Then, the final straw. I found out she'd been messaging her ex. She said it was nothing, that she was just getting closure. But when I read the messages, it was clear there was more to it. They were reminiscing about the good times, and she was confiding in him about our relationship issues. I felt betrayed. I confronted her and she turned it around on me, saying I was invading her privacy and that I was the one who had pushed her to seek comfort in someone else. I was exhausted. I didn't even have the energy to be angry anymore. I just accepted it. Maybe this was just how things were going to be. Maybe I had to be okay with living in constant turmoil if I wanted to be with her. It was a terrible realization, but I was too tired to fight it. So here we are. I'm still here, still trying to make it work, even though it feels like I'm losing a little more of myself every day. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.